Hello, my name is Dr. Shambles, and today we have a different video, guys. So what I'm gonna do today is we're gonna be looking at the different leaders that are coming in OP16, and then we'll be ranking them according to their leader effects slash their cards that we got revealed. Today we actually got revealed many cards because Bandai just released a video of them opening a case of OP16, so we do have a pretty good idea of what the decks will look like and how they will be played. And so I'm just going to tell you guys what I believe to be the better decks to do in OP16 and what I believe to be our money's worth, so to speak. So let's get right into it, shall we? First and foremost, I'm gonna be ranking both Luffy and Buggy here on B tier. Now, both of these do not actually look that bad, but they do look lacking. I have some notes here, so if you guys see me looking over there, it's because I'm looking at my notes, so I don't lose myself. But the two of them compared to the rest of the set and even comparing to some older leaders, do look like they're lacking some good amount of power. Both of them pretty much are mid-range, and both of them pretty much really love to control the opponent's board in some shape or form. Luffy is more likely to swarm the board a little bit better, while Buggy usually gets a very high hand advantage, as well as keeping some more blockers on the field. So Luffy feels more control based with a bit more aggro, while Buggy seems more like hand advantage with a bit more defensive capabilities. But both of them really share many of the cards. I'll be showing you guys here some of them. I'm not gonna be going into them a lot. Luffy's ability lets you set up 2 Dawn if all the characters you control are impelled down. It's fine. At the end, it lets you swarm the board a bit better, which is what I believe this deck likes. While Buggy, every time you return 2 costs or less to his hand, I think he has to be impelled on, I don't remember, you do get to play another one from hand. So the idea with Buggy is you keep bouncing off, and this does show in some of his characters that he plays, you keep bouncing off the characters on your board back to you to play more characters with more search, and yeah, and keep drawing with those effects as well. That's pretty much it. So there's not much to talk about them. Their strategy is in fact pretty simpler, but their power ceiling is actually very low compared to what we're gonna be talking about right now, later, which is Yamato. I actually gonna place Yamato on A tier. Yamato looks it looked bad for me, like I wasn't interested in Yamato at all. But then the reveals start coming, and after I read them all, the strategy does seem very interesting and very fun to play. So the idea of Yamato is pretty much all of your cards are focused on drawing or searching cards and then sending cards to trash. Then what you want to do is those cards to trash, the cards that you are sending to trash usually are the 3 forms of Yamato. You have the base form Yamato, you have the hybrid version, and you have the animal version. The idea is to use the base form Yamato to keep playing it from trash, and then this card will keep getting the rush thanks to your leader ability. Then this card can replace itself with a newer version, either the hybrid form or the animal form, which will be stronger and with better effects. And you just keep cycling, doing this loop with the Yamatos. Pretty much most of the Yamatos that you play, these 3, will replace themselves with the 6 cost Yamato. So the 6 cost Yamato replaces itself with the one of the 2 forms of your choosing, depends on what you need or what you have. And then those 2 forms usually get your normal version Yamato back to your hand. That's pretty much it. The other cards pretty much only search and send to trash, or you get to trash back to hand to then trash another card, which usually, again, it's Yamato. Not only that, these cards you keep trashing cards, but you also are always drawing. Don't forget that. I always mention this, but this is very important. You actually don't go down that much in resources in hand for what I calculated. So you actually keep somewhat healthy in hand, and you actually keep aggroing your opponent thanks to this little loop that you have. Now, I don't think this is enough to push her to S, and I am a bit divided on putting her on A, but I do feel like this in hands of good players. Not only that, there will be some some other decks that I did not go into from older sets that will be played on this Yamato, of course, to bump her up and make her more viable. But overall, she does alone, comparing only OP16 set, she alone looks very fun and looks very viable to play. So I do think if you really want to do this deck, I think you have a good chance of getting some wins here and there. Next, we have Sengoku. Now, Sengoku was also a leader that I was very surprised with. Now, his leader effect is to send 8 Dawn back to your Dawn deck, and then you play 3 Admirals with 3 different names. You only have 3 targets right now, which are the 3 Admirals, the Kuzan, Borsalino, and Sakazuki. Sorry, I was forgetting his name. But my problem with this deck was how much ramp are we actually gonna have, and how much consistency are we actually gonna have. Little to my surprise, we actually got pretty good consistency with the deck and pretty good ramp. Actually, we got cards that do both at the same time. They also ramp you and also draw you cards and trash you cards, so you can keep cycling your hand to see your pieces, ramping down so you can reach your leader effect faster than most, to then swarm the board with the Admirals, which are your ace leaders. This actually is very consistent. You have a Kobe Searcher, which is normal, and you even have 2k counters that are searchable as well. You do have the treasure card, but it's pretty good. And so this ups the consistency enough for Sengoku to be viable. Sorry, Jesus. And so that is my idea with the deck. I think the deck, compared to many of the older sets, is actually in a very good position from the get-go. At first, I was even biased to put him on S, but compared to the leaders I'm going to be talking right next, he actually is somewhat lacking. And so I decided to put him on A with Yamato. But again, these 2 decks are definitely viable, and to my surprise, both of these decks are actually very budget friendly. So if you want to start playing the game, this is actually good decks to go to. Next, let's go to Ace. Ace is our first S tier leader here, and the strategy with Ace is actually very aggro. Usually what you like to do with red decks. Now, Ace loves to have 8k power characters on his hand, because every time you play a Whitebeard on the field, you can actually give him Rush with your leader effect. Then, most of your characters have an effect that requires you to either trash or reveal or even play an 8k or have on the field an 8k power or 8k power character or more. In case of Ace, is 8k or more, but most of the characters are just only 8k. So you do play a bunch of 8k power characters on your deck, so you can keep pulling these effects off. My problem was, one, these cards are all bricks, and this could be a problem for the deck, as he would keep getting lives onto his hand and not actually have defense. Little did I know that we would actually get an ace that would be very good. We have 2 cards here that actually help with this problem a lot and actually solve it. First and foremost is the Secret Ace. The Secret Ace is a red searcher secret rare where you search a Whitebeard, and while he's on the field, every single one of your 8k power characters on your hand become 2k counter. Insane, actually. That actually solves the problem by itself, but we actually get another card, which is the Luffy. The Luffy SR is a card that you can actually play it later in the game, because if you have I think it's 6 Dawn, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually just gonna verify this right now. Yeah, if you have 6 or more Dawn on your field, this character has -2 cost, and it's already a 4 cost, so it becomes a 2 cost. That's very cheap for a 6k power character. Not only that, he has on your opponent's attack, you can actually trash an 8k character from your 8k power character from your hand and make your leader a 7k for the turn. That is very strong. So these 2 actually make your bricks actually be able to use defensively. Then these characters that I just talked about are very 8k power based characters. Most of them, when they go onto the field, they either decrease the power of your opponents, or they KO your opponents, or in case of the Marco, they actually protect your own characters from KO. So Marco should be on your deck, so you can protect this Luffy and this Ace from getting KO'd by effects. And yeah, that's the power of Ace, a very 8k based power. You also have a Whitebeard that is a 10k power based character that is very strong. And you can give him Rush thanks to your Ace leader ability. But most of the deck is focused on the 8k power. And it's an overall simple deck to play. It does a very simple thing, but it does do a very powerful thing. And that's why I put him in S tier. It doesn't, like, at least at first glance, it doesn't look like this Ace has that many issues, that many weaknesses that are not fixed on its own, pretty much, with its support. That's pretty much it. But again, one of the best things I have for this deck, it's actually simple to play, and so it's very newbie friendly. And now, let's go to the black chip, literally, of the set, which is Balckbeard. This is probably, people are estimating that this is the most powerful deck in the format. I think so. The strategy of Balckbeard is pretty much simple. So his later effect is during your opponent's turn, all of your characters have +1 cost. Okay, that's fine, but what comes after is what makes this deck very good. Pretty much every time your opponent, I think it's once per turn. Let me verify that. Sorry, I keep verifying. I just don't want to give you guys misinformation. Yeah, it's once per turn on your opponent's attack. You can discard a card with trigger, and then you can switch the target of the attack onto one of your characters at your choice. And this is very powerful because many of his cards have on KO effects. So usually what you do is you use your leader ability when you need to, then switch the target to one of these characters. Then these characters usually have an on KO effect that will either deal with the board of your opponent or will straight up just give you back a life. That is insane. Then this is why it gets to the worst part, or the best part of the deck. So pretty much all of your characters on early to mid game do stuff like sustaining your life, sustaining your board, controlling your opponent's momentum. But once you get to the late game, that's when you get pretty crazy, because you do get a sorry, let me just, so I don't give you misinformation. We got a secret rare 8 cost 10k power Balckbeard. This Balckbeard is on play, is a searcher. You look at the 3 cards from the top of your deck and add up to one of those cards to the top of your life, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck. So as soon as you play him, you heal a card, and not only that, you actually get to choose a card to put it on life. Why is this good? Because every single card that you play has a trigger, and all of those triggers do help you, again, controlling the momentum of your opponent. So that is already good. He's a 10k, which is very powerful. Then you have a trigger, which is negate the effect up to one of your opponent's characters during this turn. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So again, a trigger that controls your opponent's momentum, and it's very good. This is the trigger, but usually you do want to play it from your hand. Now, and it gets even crazier, because we do have another card that makes this even more powerful, which is the event. So pretty much, you pay 8 Don, and during your main, if you have 10 Don, you actually get to play 1 Martial Teach from your hand. Then your opponent adds 1 card from the top of their life to their hand. And the trigger is draw 2 cards, trash 1 card from your hand. Sorry that I keep picking my nose, it's very itchy. Why is this so broken? Martial Teach, the new Balckbeard leader, is not only yellow, it's yellow and black color, which means you can actually do like I am Whitebeard with this, and use this to play a 10 cost blocker black cheat for cheaper, leaving you with 2 Dawn extra, which could help you in some way. And not only that, you're adding an effect, which is you're just burning your opponent's life for free, pretty much. And this is what makes the deck really good, because there's currently 3 teaches that you can play with this. There's the promo teach that got out very recently, actually, I believe. You have the SR teach that came in OP09, Yep, OP09. And then you have this new teach, and pretty much what you need to take from this event makes all of these teaches just burn your life as well as their own effects, which are pretty good on their own. And so this is why people are speculating the deck to be the strongest deck in the format, is because Teach can pull these combos very similar to red and blue ace that we got on P13, but in yellow, which on its own makes it better because yellow, the whole strategy of yellow is keep burning lives and keep reviving lives. So yeah, this could be a problem, but people are saying he's gonna get banned. Obviously it's not gonna get banned. We're gonna see what happens in when the set comes, and so, and if there what counters Marshall, what doesn't. I don't think it's gonna be tier 0, but it's definitely gonna be tier 1. And yeah, not only that, again, a lot of the own KO effects and trigger effects have their uses, and I think the skill ceiling on a very good pilot will determine if this deck is actually very good or not. Pretty much similar to Purple NL. Purple NL, like, seems a very OP deck, but to actually pilot it at 100% is somewhat hard, and I think that's gonna be the same with Teach. But yeah, this was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys agree with this scaling. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Would you place it like this? Who are you excited to play with? I actually want to hear all about it. I don't know if I'm gonna make any of these decks. If Sengoku is cheap enough, it's purple. I love purple, so I might do it. But yeah, tell me what you guys are looking for into OP16, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.